Fuck. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the DrivingMaul show. Yes, it's 8 p.m. on a Monday, and actually a few seconds past. I'm late. As I was singing, running to my computer. I'm late for a very important date. But hey, there are good reasons why I'm late. That's right. Had to get the beers in, folks. So yeah, just quickly pour the beer before we get into it all. I'd say no rugby for the weekend, but there was definitely some club rugby at the weekend. No Rugby Championship at the weekend. We had a bit of a rest between games. So that means that Cornflake and I can spend some time having a chat about the squad as it looks like at the moment, heading off to the Rugby World Cup. How you doing, Cornflake? How you doing?
I'm very good, very good. Good to be back again. Yeah, I mean, there was a bit of rugby. There was the Japanese and the Samoans and the Tongans and the Fijians had a bit of a helter-skelter run around and play around and try to beat each other up as best they could and get everyone sent off with red cards and yellow cards and typical, boisterous fun. But it's back to the real stuff this weekend, eh?
Absolutely, and as you can tell, I have not even looked at the results from the weekend, to be honest with you. But I will have a quick look at that, and we'll have a gander. And it sounds like that Steve is all over it, which is fantastic because he can tell everyone all about it. Not really? Oh dear. So let us know in the live chat, by the way, when we're going through the you can join us in the live chat on YouTube and Facebook. You can also watch live on Twitter and also get the recording as well as a podcast. But Steve, you're standing up for us this week, which is very nice of you. I saw I'm not on Twitter much anymore, but someone did a whole bunch of rugby YouTube channels and missed me out. I mean, how dare they? How dare they?
Missed us all out. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. That's Americans, see, that's what you get. Americans, they just touch the word rugby and they had league and they had it's fun. It gives me target practice now, you see. I can aim for people to wipe them out, drop them down the list.
Now, I should actually delete the old DrivingMaul channel because it doesn't. I don't post anymore. It's all on the New Zealand Sport Radio. But as you put on there, it's all rugby related anyway. Simon's joining us this evening. Good evening, Simon. Yes, Pacific Nations Cup is going ahead this year. So it's next year that we have this America's Rugby Championship. It's all be part of, growing into this whole Nations Cup thing. A bit like the women have got organised for later this year with the W15 that is going on. But let's have a quick look at those results then. So Fiji played Tonga at the weekend, winning that game 36 to 20. Looking through just one yellow card. I mean, what are you talking about? All these yellow cards must be the other game.
Japan.
We'll get on to
Michael
that in a second.
Michael Leach is the man.
But 26-15, sorry, at half time, and then pulling away to 36-20 to win it. So Fiji, kind of cementing themselves as that top team, or top Pacific Island nations team, and the team that doesn't have all these famous names coming back to them or coming over to them with the
Fiji?
new eligibility rules. Sorry?
What? Really? Fiji's got Simi Radradra and Josui Tuisova and Sita Tamani Balu. They got all sorts of big names in that Fijian squad. Although they're not just joining now, but
that's what I mean. Whereas you look at the Tongan team,
they're
you've got
stacked.
Fekitoa,
Yes, and Tonga, yes.
Piatoa, got all these new players arriving, whereas say Fiji's had them already. It's an existing team that they haven't had this big influx of ex All Blacks, basically.
Yeah, they have had them for a couple of years, so it helps. But I mean, they're still stacked. I mean, those island teams are getting more and more stacked as the years go by. Like those players that are in those squads it's just crazy. I mean, they're going to be a threat. Those players have the ability, they're like the Taupau and Botha players back in the day in those, what was that, early 2000s at the Blues? Just one of those players that could just make something happen. It's a close game, just blow it open. That's why they're so much fun.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so well done to Fiji on that one. Tonga, yes, bringing their new players in, or bringing their old players in. Same with Samoa. Christian Leali'ifano running things at 10. there from them. And you look through these names, and quite a lot of these names are still playing from Moana Pacifica. So yes, I know there's been a lot of people not happy with the results from Moana Pacifica, but look, they've given a lot of these players what's the word I'm looking for?
Opportunity,
professional environment to train in and to be ready for this Rugby World Cup, which sees Samoa seeing off Japan at 22-24, 10-all at half-time, with a yellow card for Samoa on 17 minutes, followed by that Leach red card on the half-hour mark. And I guess that was a real red card rather than the upcoming at the Rugby World Cup. We've got these 20-minute red cards as well. So, yeah, a real red card there, and it did. As I say, Samoa sneaks it out against Japan. I don't know. Are we expecting? What are we expecting from Japan for this Rugby World Cup? I mean, are we expecting the giant killing, beating South Africa, getting into quarterfinal stuff, or are we, or as Nocturnal Rights suggested here, has Japan stalled with their attack? A lot of drop ball, especially against the All Blacks 15. What are you? I mean, yeah. Has Japan gone backwards since the last Rugby World Cup?
Japan, I was thinking about this over the weekend, actually, after seeing the result of this game. And Japan's becoming, it's like a opposite of Ireland. That's what I've decided to call them. They're anti-Ireland. See, you're confused now, aren't you? Because Ireland is a team that's good during the year.
No idea where you're going with this. Sorry,
Ireland's
okay, go on.
a team that's good during 3 years, and then World Cup time, they fall to pieces. Now, Japan is becoming a team that's garbage for 3 years, and then becomes good. They have last couple of World Cups now become really, really good.
I was going to say, 2 World Cups ago, they beat South Africa. Last World Cup, they got themselves into the quarterfinals by beating
Scotland.
Ireland and Scotland, wasn't it? Anyway, but yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, can you argue? I mean, they've done nothing over the last 3 years, have they? They've been pretty underwhelming. So are they going to get to the World Cup and decide, or not decide, but develop and all this stuff's going to come forward for them? Who knows? I mean, they've done it two World Cups in a row, so I wouldn't bet against them. I wouldn't certainly, downplay them. I think them and those 3 island nations, Tonga, Samoa, Fiji, you bet against them at your peril. I really do think so. But I was most confused by this after this matchup by a number of people in media and places like that calling this a massive upset. You look at that result, you've obviously just looked at it. Would you consider that a massive upset? I would consider that probably a 55-45, a 60-40 sort of game in the favour to Japan of favourites before. I would consider it, the slight underdog pulled through, but that's no way to me a major upset.
You're talking about Japan, who made the quarterfinals last time, got automatic qualification for the last 2 Rugby World Cups, whereas up against Samoa, who didn't finish in the top 3 last time. Remember, they had to qualify for this Rugby World Cup. So I can see how if you only tune in once every 4 years, then yes, this is a major upset because Japan's this new tier 1 country. It's just been given tier 1 status. Remember, they've been beaten by an island team. But no, you're right. It is as you say, Japan turn up for the big tournament when they have that long preparation time ahead of time, and they clearly prepare for specific games. This isn't one of those specific games, and therefore they do trip up in these ones. And as has also been pointed out, that the whole COVID thing has really screwed up this World Cup cycle for teams like Japan, where travel and quarantining to Japan was just not an option, whereas it kind of was within Europe. And down here with Australia, we kind of managed to get some games in, whereas they were just totally left out in the cold from that point of view. I guess to my mind, Japan's real problem is that they're up against the team that's been doing what they've been doing, but for longer, which is Argentina. Argentina, another team that you kind of look at between Rugby World Cups going, yep, they're easy wins at the Rugby Championships because they only have a very short, because they all fly in from France, have a very, very short preparation time. Heading into the Rugby World Cup, they get 3-4 months together and they turn up at Rugby World Cups and they deliver. So they're in the pool with those are the 2 teams to me that are your anti-island team, as it were. The Pacific nations to a lesser degree, because they just don't have they're all kind of figuring out whether they're actually going to get paid. Do they have flights? Is there a hotel booked for tonight or not? Do they have to pay for their own meals? All this kind of crap, which means that their 3 months run up isn't as smooth and as it should be. Whereas your Argentinas, your Japans, they don't have to worry about that kind of stuff, and they can actually concentrate on rugby for 3 months, and therefore they turn up at the Rugby World Cup ready and raring to go. So it's going to be interesting. But it upset, yes. Major upset, no.
And pool rivals as well, which I think someone said in the chat, but that's Pool D.
It is Pool D.
Samoa and Japan, yeah.
So England, Japan, Argentina, Samoa, and good luck Chile. But oh no, come on, let's for Chile. It's the fact they're here, right? They got here and they saw off the USA to get there as well, who was supposed to be the new up and coming team along with Japan, but they can't even get there. So good luck Chile, because I say you've got England who they're not going to lose to, who they're not going to beat. Then got two teams that turn up that specialise at turning up well at Rugby World Cups, and a Samoa that's heading in the right direction as well. So that's looking like a nice tough pool there.
So what you need to do is you need to get your picks in now, and I scenario to get down to the TAB or wherever you bet, and just put a cheeky one on Chile to get close to England, or just to tip them at the end, or someone to topple over England. That would be nice. Just to knock them off their horse. That would be great. The ugly kits, the ugly alternative kits. Oh, we'll have to do that video. I've almost got all 20 to do that second part of that video. England's World Cup alternative kit. Blah, yuck. Sorry, I'll just throw it on the side.
Go on, you do a quick search and bring it up so you can show it on screen so I can have a look, because I've not seen it yet. But yes, folks, if you want to have our opinions of the Rugby World Cup jerseys that were released about 2 weeks ago or a week ago, then on both my channels and also on the Cornflakes YouTube channel, you can see us go through and rate all of the Rugby World Cup jerseys that were available at that time. So yes. Look, I mean, England, I say it's to me, England are coming through, and then it's between Argentina and Japan and Samoa as to what order they finish from second to fourth in that pool. But I'm sure we'll do a pool preview, and I'll tell you the 5 games that matter in the pool rounds, or the 5 games that could actually alter the result of the Rugby World Cup, shall I say? Because to my mind, there's very few games in the pool stages that are actually going to impact the latter stages of the tournament. Moving on to a bit of news then, and 5 All Blacks have been released to play in the NPC pre-season game. All of them playing over in Tiamutu for the Chiefs Cup, with Anselin Brown, Luke Jacobson, Sepini Finau, Josh Lord, and Cam Roygard all running out there this weekend, which obviously means they're not going to be available for the Bledisloe Cup game in that one. But then again, I'm not expecting, to my mind, we'll get on to previewing that game later, and how you think selection should be done. Have you found the jersey?
Jersey's got a link for you. There you go. Find that.
No, but you can share your screen.
Oh, okay. Oh, there we go. Hang on. Let me share mine then.
Are you going to put it in the private chat? I see. Now I can see what you've got. Sorry.
Okay, you can click that then. I do like the headline, actually. Fans outraged as England release new Rugby World Cup 2023 kits.
Yeah, but the outrage is the price.
I just like the fans outraged.
Because that's a chunk of change for another jersey. Yeah. I mean, the white jersey, it's just white, right? There's nothing.
The alternate kit.
Yeah, and just blue one. The home jersey is just a white jersey there, and then there's that funny, pyramid diamond structure. I bet, and the All Blacks tried that sort of pyramid diamond structure thing a few years ago. Yeah, not a fan. To be honest with you, not a fan of that one. Don't mind the colour blue or the shade, but yeah, I'm not sure. I don't like the old diamond side of things on that one. Simon, my preference is for the players to play in the NPC proper. Yes, well, it's about we'll see if any of that kind of happens. There's been we're talking about One Pacifico earlier briefly about the number of players that are playing for Tonga and Samoa in particular, and how it's given them at least a proper professional preparation running up to this, which is good. But there has been some downsides of it, or some comments about the losing Levi Amua and Toto Inawai, both leaving the club. But they have signed Sione Havili Talitu. What do you think of that signing for Moana Pacifica?
That's good. It's a championship caliber signing, isn't it? It's good to see them actually having the ability to bring a player back and not have to bring in a no-name player up through the ranks like they have with everyone else. So they've brought in someone in who's actually established. And I think a forward's probably always a good place for them to get that sort of player, that established sort of player as well, because we all know that these teams, the island nations generally produce, they're like an endless chain of amazing backline players that can do the unthinkable. So having a good solid forward, a good back row, he play second row a little bit, doesn't he, as well? Mainly back row. This versatile sort of guy, but mainly back row, you're number 8. But yeah, they'll use him well. I think he's a good signing, good pickup for them. And you got to hope that he'll keep the same sort of standards he would being a Crusader as well, and not let that drop off because he's not in that franchise anymore. That's probably the test for him, to keep that sort of standard of play that he does at the Crusaders. But yeah, that's one. Give me 3 more. That's what I ask. Steal from someone else. Take someone from the Chiefs. I don't know. There's heaps about there. It brings in quality into that. It brings but what he brings, I think, more hopefully will be off the pitch rather than on the pitch, which is bringing the knowledge of the preparation required, the detail required to be a Crusader and to play at that kind of level. So I think what he can bring off the pitch is as important as what he can bring on the pitch. To be honest with you, I did remember hearing from Rennie Ranger that when he went down and did as injury cover at the Crusaders for pre-season, he never actually went on the pitch for them, but he was just amazed at the level of detail and all the guys being on their iPads in the mornings ahead of training, going through details and video clips and stuff. Now, for someone who's been an experienced international player who played at the All Blacks, who'd played overseas, have played at serious clubs in France, have played serious levels in Super Rugby, for him to go in there and be shocked at the level of detail tells you how, what kind of level they're at compared to some of the other clubs that are out there. So, so bringing that in, I think, will be very important, which is I think is good. Making sure he can actually take it as well and establish it at the new place. Because how many players have moved from Christchurch or Canterbury to Auckland or to the Highlanders or to France or to England, and they don't take that there. They obviously just go over there and take a back seat as an import player or whatever, or wherever they go. You just hope that he takes that and as a leader, like establishes that culture or that structure there, rather than just going in there and being like, well, I'm the new boy, I'll just do what everyone else does. Actually put it forward to everyone else, because it doesn't seem like, how many players have the Highlanders got from the Crusaders? Billy Harmon, a leader in that squad, but do they have that same sort of structure? I mean, I can't say, but you'd imagine not.
Yeah, you do. You're right. You do hope that that he does take it through, because, as you say, not everyone does take it with them when they go. Finally, we've had a few fixtures announced for 2025. When the Lions are going to Australia. The fixture list is that the Lions will play the Western Force, the Queensland Reds, New South Wales Waratahs, ACT Brumbies. The four Super Rugby warm-up games. No big surprise there. Then they're playing a Lions versus Invitational AU and NZ 15. Now, Eddie Jones, during the presentation of this fixture list, went, "I'm not happy with that," which tells you they've not got him on board. He wanted it to be an Australia B team, Australia A's, to play that game rather than the mixed one. And as the All Blacks will be playing France at the same time as this tour, there is no expectation that any current All Blacks will be in that side. So it will be the All Blacks 15 and Australia A team, A players. We then have the first test in Brisbane before they play the Rebels midweek. So the fifth Super Rugby team from Australia. The second test in Melbourne at the MCG this time. I was at the last Melbourne test. It wasn't at the same. It was in the smaller stadium. So they're going for 100,000 seater stadium. Boy, oh boy, if they can pack that, wow. I mean, not that anyone actually see the game because it's so far away, being on an oval. But anyway, and then finish up in Sydney for the third test match. Your thoughts on that itinerary for the Lions?
It's too far away. It's way too far away. I mean, it's 2023. We've got this World Cup to go yet. Then we've got 2 full seasons of everything else before we're going to get to that. I mean, I was surprised. Well, this is announced so early, isn't it? That it's in and out there. I mean, yeah, it's cool. I mean, honestly, I'm focused on other things. I mean, it's like good to see the Lions. It's good to see it's happening. We knew it was going to happen. The Anzac team's, but like, what the hell? But okay, we'll deal with that later. At this stage, it's like name a Wallaby that's going to make that team anyway. But like you say, the All Blacks wouldn't play anyway, so it probably would be a bit easier. But if you look at it from now, it's like, yeah, okay, have fun with that. We've got a World Cup to look at. That's what we're looking at. We've got Super Rugby next year to look at. We've got all sorts of other stuff to look at. So get back to me at the end of 2024 and we'll talk again about that one. But yeah, cool. The way Sanzar runs things, those unions might not even exist by 2025. So how do you even know?
Okay, so yeah, they will. Anyway, so my thoughts on this one are that, look, Nocturnal Right said Anzac team will need a couple of weeks together to make it a decent game rather than a Barbars type one. No, it's going to be a Barbars one. Forget it. They're not going to have 2 weeks together because all the Australian players will be playing in the Super Rugby warm-up games against the Lions. So it is going to be a Barbars game. The disappointing things are there is no Pacific games. The Fijian and Drua don't get a game as a warm-up game. Never mind any of the Pacific national teams. So from my mind, that's a disappointing thing. The Rebels have said that they are apparently have mentioned they're thinking about making theirs a bit more of a Pacific side and inviting some Pacific players. But okay, I guess look, they're going to be missing all their Wallabies, so they need strengthening somehow. Is their thought process there, and also that sort of crumbs off the table for the Pacific nations. No, to me, it's a disservice of the Lions. They should be playing either the Fijian and Drua or at least some sort of Pacific team as part of the tour. To my mind, that invitational AU NZ team isn't needed. I would put the Pacific team in there personally.
Are you surprised at all, though? Like,
no,
it would be really cool, but I mean, if it does not surprise. Yeah, that's it. I wouldn't expect to see it there. I mean, they're worried. Like you said, 100,000 people in that SCG game. It's like that's what their focus is seats, people, bums on seats, money, and milking it for all it's worth. It's like,
yep,
all the growing the game and stuff. Yeah, it's just money. They're worried about money. That's all it is. And I guess, okay, the Rebels, but that's a bit of a, as sad as it's a bit of a token gesture, isn't it? That kind of, if you look at it the wrong way, it's kind of more insulting than it is. I'm sure it's not intended that way. But geez, yeah. I mean, why can't they have? Don't the Lions normally have like a build up, like a pre-tour sort of matchup as well on the way? They sometimes drop off in Japan and play like their C team, like the guys that don't play on the tour at all and things like that as well. So why don't they chip in that? Stop off in Fiji or somewhere along the way.
So the games they've had before, so when they happen to be sponsored by the HSBC or the Hong Kong Shanghai Bank of Commerce. Then they stopped off in Hong Kong to play the Barbarians, and boy oh boy, I paid to fly up there from Singapore, and it was a horrible game. It was so one-sided. It was a joke, and I wouldn't do that. Wouldn't do that again. That was a waste of time. They played Argentina in Cardiff before, because yes, the natural home of the Pumas. Yeah, I know exactly. They've played kind of home games before leaving, and they might do that again, because it's bound to be like they had the problem when flying out to New Zealand. Is that the players will be involved in domestic finals, and therefore, Jack Nowell, ahead of the tour to New Zealand, he had the final in Twickenham. Did the coach trip back with his team, getting drunk on the way home to Exeter. Picked up his bag, got in a taxi, and drove all the way back to London again to get on the plane for the Lions trip. I mean, it's that kind of. And funny enough, he didn't play very well in the opening game against the president's provincial team, because yes, he'd just been on a bender, jumped on a plane, got off the plane, woken up, had 2 days going, where the hell am I? And then played a game of rugby. So yeah, well, it's so if they do have an extra game, it will be at home, because they haven't got, and it will be without their players who are involved in domestic finals kind of thing. So yeah, it's all a bit of a mess now.
I was going to say it would be easier hosting a Pacific nation sort of team over there, because 80% of them play over there already, don't they? So just grab a little few from here and there that aren't playing in the playoffs or the finals. Well, sure, you'd easily be able to make up a team. But again, is that more insulting than just admitting and not doing it? Or, it's two sides to every coin, eh?
Exactly. But anyone's like, oh yeah, look, it's the last traditional tour and blah blah blah. No, it is all about the money. This tour is money. The Lions. It's like, it's all about the heritage. No, it's about money, and more beeping money.
£125 kits. Is that still $200? Is it still double the pound? I'll have to look that up.
Don't know. You can have a look if you want to. So that's the last. I'm trying to think if I got. Did I get it? Oh yes. So I picked up my last British and Irish Lions jersey after the tour for like £25. So that's what you want to do, is wait until the tour's over and get it on the cheap.
259 New Zealand dollars right now to buy that England shirt. Whoa.
Yep.
Just imagine how much the Lions one would be.
Well, yes. And look, it's a challenge to the New Zealand rugby to definitely give Moana Pacifica a game, but they'll go and also to make sure the Maori All Blacks get a game, because last time because you can see the Maori All Blacks getting more and more sidelined. I mean, are they even having a game this year? I don't think they've got any games this year.
Aren't they replaced by the what are they called? The team that's
playing.
The
All Blacks. Yeah, the All Black 15.
That's it. Yeah.
No, they're not there. They are separate. The Maori All Blacks do still exist in theory. In practice, they've been shunted down the list. If they give a game, a British and Irish Lions game to the All Blacks 15, and not to the Maori All Blacks, then you can see that all this stuff about culture and stuff that New Zealand rugby talks about is total bullshit. And again, it's all about money.
And then imagine who gets priority over a player.
Well, the way to my mind, the reason that it's changed is the Maori All Blacks, the Maori All Black head coach gets to select his own team and select the squad. The All Blacks 15 is selected by the All Blacks head coach, and he tells the coaches who are assigned to that team who they're picking. So it's all about control and about Sir Ian Foster getting his players as much.
Well, we don't have to worry about Foster anymore. He'll be in the bin by the time Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see whether Razor sticks around with this All Blacks 15 or whether he says, "Hey, no, mate, give the Maori All Blacks which is a much better, a much stronger brand, and could be monetized much better than an All Blacks 15. But
we're going back to money. It's all about money.
Well, yes. So there we go. Let's very quickly then look forward to the games this coming weekend. We've got Samoa versus Fiji and Japan versus Tonga. Look, Samoa and Fiji both coming off the back of wins, but Fiji will go into that one as favourites. It will not be a massive upset if Samoa win, but Fiji do go in as slight favourites. And then Japan versus Tonga. You'd expect Japan to be slight favourites on that one. But look, the Tonga players have actually know each other's names and have played with each other at least once now. So they should be getting better there. So I reckon Fiji and Japan. What's your call for those two games?
I'm going to be different. I'm just going to say Fiji and Tonga, just because we're just going to upset the apple cart and make people further doubt Japan going into the World Cup, which kind of makes me laugh a little bit. It makes me smile because we're going to get there. Everyone's going to go, wow, they haven't won a test in XX matches, so we're going to write them off, and then they're going to topple the tables there. But is it actually called the Pacific Nations Cup? Because my looking up on this, it's called the Journey to the Rugby World Cup.
Oh boy.
So I don't know if that's actually a legitimate thing. Pacific Nations Cup, I can find no information on whatsoever, and this is just sort of World Cup warm-up matches from everything I've seen. That
World
it's
Cup
calling
matches.
Mm.
And also, by the way, this is on TVNZ1, 3:30 on Saturday. It's live for free if you want to watch that. The Samoa Fiji game. Moving down there, we've also got Scotland versus Italy. Look, Scotland really needs to hit the ground running. Italy, they don't really care about this one. They're going to lose to France and New Zealand, and they're going to beat Uruguay and Namibia. So for Italy, but Scotland there, then you've got Namibia versus Argentina 15, and Uruguay versus Chile as well for their warm-ups. On that one, you expect Uruguay to see off Chile, and Namibia. That's going to be a tough game for them. We'll see how they go against Argentina.
And Argentina 15 though.
Yes, I understand.
Wait, Argentina have so many of these 15s. They call all sorts of different names. They have 15s, and they have like a like recycled Aguares sort of side, and then they have all their the South American Super Rugby sort of thing they got going on for those sides of 15s here and 15s there, and they're playing these guys in 15s. They have a lot of teams, man. They have a lot of teams going on. You just don't know who's going to turn up until you see the team list, really. So
it'll be interesting. So because the actual Pumas will be playing South Africa. How do you see that game going?
That will be, I think, a big game for South Africa to hit back at what everyone's doubting them on. I think after what's probably been a bit of a interesting week for them, I'm interested to know what the media in South Africa is saying. It'll be like to be a little fly on the wall over there to see what the sort of feeling is, or talk to a South African on this match last week or 2 weekends ago against the All Blacks, because over here it was dubbed as the big match, the big talking point, the decider. This is, the World Cup build-up sort of game and everything like that. I just wonder if South Africa had that same sort of build up to that test match themselves, or they're seeing this game a lot differently. That sort of does intrigue me. But I think they're going to be out to win this one very, very well, make a bit of a statement like they did against the Wallabies in the opening game. But I do think they will be probably using the squad a bit more deeper than they would have gone in New Zealand. That was pretty much their best team, I think. But arguably people saying about the number 10 jumper. But I think they'll be probably moving a few players around, trying a few different things heading into that. So, yeah, I think they'll be wanting to win it and absolutely smash the Pumas, which would be make a statement. I think Argentina aren't going to be a pushover either, because they've got a lot to prove on this sort of series as well, because they've got a big build-up to come, and they need to pick up a victory, don't they? And they've got to do, another victory. They've got the Wallabies already, but they want to pick up another one and continue on their sort of period of toppling over these top tier nations and proving to be a bit of a threat. I think the Springboks will take it, and I think they will make a bit of a deal about it. But I just think this might be that. Hopefully, this is what I'm hoping we'll see from the Pumas. Is this going to be the game where they don't fall apart? Like the All Blacks, they fell apart a bit, I think, as that match wore through against the Wallabies. They showed a lot of that fight and that grit, which is great to see. But as the Wallabies, it's hard to judge whether that was a very, very big test for them. Against the Springboks, I want to see all that determination, whether they're down by 5 points, they're down by 20 points, just to continue on that fight. And just show it right till the end. So they need an 80-minute performance for me. Argentina, full 80 minutes. South Africa, big statement and a 15-plus point win.
See, South Africa, it's all, let's be honest, ramping up for the opening game of the Rugby World Cup against Scotland. They've still got 4 warm-up games. They've got Argentina twice, home and away. Then they've got Wales and they've got the All Blacks as well. So they've got 4 games before the Rugby World Cup. The first 2 games against the Wallabies and the All Blacks, they basically used their entire squad. And played nearly 2 teams. So, yes, they were not taking that All Blacks game as seriously as the All Blacks were. And they didn't need to as either. They were much rustier than the All Blacks team. So, I think to me, I don't think they'll be too worried about that loss against the All Blacks. And again, whilst we're looking at obviously not going into this game thinking we don't care if we win or lose, they'll obviously they want to win. But to my mind, I think they're much more about process towards that Scotland game. And that I don't think they need a big result here. I think they need just to get players basically playing the system better for the Springboks and just getting their players used to each other again. For the Pumas, as you say, they do need a win. They're coming off the back of 2. They beat the Wallabies 31-34. They've got those 2 games against South Africa. And then 1 more game against Scotland before they play England at the Rugby World Cup. So they've only got 3 games now rather than the 4. And as you say, complete performances is what we need to see from them over these next 20. I think this game is more important to the Pumas than it is to the Springboks.
Oh, yeah.
In my mind, and you're right. They need to be putting in a performance here on this one. So big game. For the Pumas in South Africa. Then the other game, the Wallabies versus the All Blacks, the first Bledisloe Cup game for the All Blacks, coming off the back of 2 wins and a very much morale-boosting performance against the Springboks. What do you think Ian Foster should or will be doing for this game? Is it best team I can do? I've got to beat the Wallabies. The Bledisloe Cup is everything, or are we going to see this as being a rotation, giving lots, making sure all the players, or testing out a few players who are fringe selections for the squad, or how do you see he's going to use it?
No, I don't think it's going to be either of those sort of options. I think it's going to be probably 80% full strength sort of side, and you'll get a few of those 50-50 sort of positions that they want to see more from players out of in there. So I think you're going to see mainly the core of the squad will be that first choice side. I think they'll be wanting to go there and wrap up, because it's only 2 test series, isn't it? The split is like one here, one there, one here, obviously. So they go there, they win, they've wrapped that up. And I think they'll want to come back to New Zealand. And then I think we'll see quite a different side for that test match. Should they lose this weekend in Australia, now that would be very interesting to see what they do for that following match, because then that's whole plans out the window. But that'll be a topic for next week, I'd imagine, if that was to happen. But I think it'll be pretty much a good a team as you can imagine, with a few of those 50-50s, like the Coles and the Taylor sort of at hooker. I mean, they've got so much depth but they've got a lot of guys competing in that second row. Will they give Lord another shot in there as well? And Whitelock is coming back. I'm not sure if he's going to be back for this match or not as well. I think the back row will stay the same. There's not much going on there. McKenzie, Moanga, what way do they go there? Maybe they give McKenzie another shot. That's what I mean. It's those 50-50 sort of positions that you might see the rotation, but that midfield won't change. Caleb Clark hopefully won't play. but I can see he probably will come back into the team. Just things like that. Your wingers, you got a few options on there as well, but those solid ones, your midfield, your back row, you're going to see the same props. Those sorts of things will stay the same for the All Blacks for this one. I think they'll want to win it, get it wrapped up, trophy in the cabinet, come back, and then it's focus on the World Cup and developing that depth in the squad.
I think there'll be a couple more changes than you think. I think is where, but I don't think they'll go the full hog and use it as a kind of as a possibles game. It's still going to be the core with some combinations, but I do think that we'll see a change in the loose trio, and I do think there are one or two faces he doesn't want to see, and they'll need to. But you've got to say, look, with players like Luke Jacobson, Cam Roygaard, Anson Leonard-Brown all being released for these NPC pre-season games, you can see they're not going to be used. So again, as you say, a lot of the players will be the same, but I do think there'll be a number of changes in there just to test some people out. For Australia though, look, they need a win. Let's remind you, the All Blacks only got 3 games for the Rugby World Cup now, two against Wallabies and 1 against the Springboks in London. For the Wallabies, though, this is a game where if we don't, because they're coming off the back of a 43-12 loss to the Springboks in South Africa, at home losing to the Pumas 31-34. They've got these 2 games against the All Blacks and then 1 game against France before they hit the Rugby World Cup. But they're kicking their Rugby World Cup off with games against Georgia, Fiji, Wales, and Portugal. So it's not as important. They're not landing and playing Scotland or France first up. They don't have to quite. They've got a little bit more breathing room. However, off the back of those 2 losses, Australia need a good performance here. We've already seen that Eddie Jones is not in a good mood, right? He's not like, oh, things are working in the right direction. Yep, we'll be there for the World Cup. He's like, I'm pissed off with that result against the Pumas. Right, you dropped. Goodbye. That's it. You're out of the Rugby World Cup. Go away. Kellaway, you're in. You got one choice, mate, before I chop your head off. And he's talking about naming his squad early to reduce anxiety because clearly is not. It's not a band of brothers in there at the moment, by the sounds of things.
It's to reduce anxiety. I think they'll be more anxious if they're actually named in the team for an extra day or 2, wouldn't they be? It's like, oh crap, I got to play this weekend. Oh no, what am I going to do?
No. He's talking about naming his World Cup squad early.
Oh, I think he meant the team for the weekend. Oh goodness me! How early is he going to name this team? Is he naming it before the end of this Bledisloe series? He didn't actually say.
He hasn't said yet. He said he's thinking about it, which yeah. Add some more uncertainty in there, Eddie. That really helps with anxiety.
You know what Australian rugby needs to do is they need to hire a coach and they need to hire a media manager / coach. So Eddie Jones needs to be a media manager and he does a little bit of coaching on the side, but they need like just a rugby coach to be their coach because he's just incredible in the media. Like, I mean, you hate him, but he's just so good at manipulating and just laying that seed of doubt and just making people think and overthink everything about it.
I think he's possibly the best media, the best media coach in the world. I love it. I think he's great.
It's not even close. I mean, who would you give number 2 to? Like, who else does that sort of thing? Like, no one really does.
Razzie and hour-long videos, but he's calmed down, and he actually put a tweet out saying the referee played better than we did after the All Blacks game. So I mean, wow! I mean, that was that. Look, well done, Razzie. You've done the right thing for a change. Normally,
but Eddie Jones comes out like after losing to the Pumas, comes out and says, "Oh, the All Blacks should be concerned," or whatever it was he said. It's like, and everyone, it's like, why? It's like you just got smoked by the Springboks. You just got pit by a team that the All Blacks smoked the week before. Why? And then, of course, everyone's going, well, why? And it's like, and then the overthinking begins. He is an absolute master. But, I mean, you just leave him to the media. Just leave him to have his interviews, have an interview with him every day. He is just an absolute stunner. But, yeah, I think the Wallabies are in a similar boat to Argentina in this instance. They want to win. And, I mean, this is the most dangerous Australia can be, is this position right here. They've lost a few games. They've lost a lot of games. They've lost a lot of them badly. They've lost the teams they should be beating. They've not shown that full 80-minute commitment like we saw against Argentina, where that last 10 minutes, they got completely smoked off the field, bar their intercept try. They look desperate, and they look, backs against the wall. And this is where I look at Australia and go, this is when they're probably going to come out and play that one fantastic game that they're capable of and make a match of it, which I think is what the goal will have to be. Are they good enough? I mean, Callaway is a player that absolutely garbage at every level except for international level. And he comes out and he plays fantastically. I don't know how he got selected in that Wallabies team because he wasn't that great at Super Rugby. But I mean, he's got a fantastic record and he just scores. He just scores. And that's what he does. He just right place, right time. I guess mental state of the man is really good. So yeah, they've come out, they've changed their whole squad, haven't they, for this one? So they're dangerous. Eddie Jones makes you second guess everything you want to say or think about this game, and that really gives the Wallabies a bit more of an advantage than they probably should have. But do I think they'll win? I don't think they will win, but I do think this is going to be an 80-minute game from first to 84.
So this game doesn't have Scott Barrett red card written all over it. You don't have those kind of vibes that from a few years ago. That's
something.
To me, yeah, it could be. Obviously, it might not be him, but it's got that kind of vibe of walking in. It's all just too one-sided. And as the reviewer says, the last 3 Rugby World Cup years, Australia have beaten New Zealand at home.
That's okay, as long as we win this one this weekend. So we can just mix everyone up. Bring all those other guys in. Bring all the uncapped players. Bring them all in. Everyone. Paul, you can play somewhere if you want. Just throw them all in there. That doesn't matter. That's just fitness to that stage.
So Callaway says, yeah, great basic. Sorry, not right. Says Callaway, great basic skills. Sorted about 3 years ago. Minimal mistakes. Yeah,
very much.
Absolutely. And it takes me back to what Brian Moore said about the difference between club rugby and international rugby. He says, look, at club rugby, you're the best player and you're making up for everyone else's. You're trying to cover for other players who aren't quite so good. At international level, you're all very good. You just have to do your own job. You don't have to do other people's jobs. And that's the difference between. So some players may not look so good at club rugby, but because they're not doing the extra stuff for all the other players, but they can do their own role really well. And that's what you need at international. And perhaps Callaway's one of those. He doesn't do all the flashy or doesn't pick up a slack for other people necessarily. He's not got that skill, or he's out in the wing where he can't. But when it comes to international rugby, when he's surrounded by other good players, there aren't the gaps around him. So that's the games coming up. I think it's probably about time that we had a look at the aeroplane that's about to head off to
this will be good.
The Rugby World Cup. So before we get into the aeroplane itself, though, what we did do 4 years ago, and it's funny when you look at this sort of stuff, is we had a quick look of the players who were around 4 years ago and said, okay, where are they going to be, or are they going to be around for the next Rugby World Cup? And it's kind of interesting as to where we kind of end up with that. So you look at the amongst the props, you had we said, look, there's a bit of a gap around Loosehead, and yet Carl's not the guy that's there anymore, right? Rackety Stones hasn't perhaps come on quite as well as we thought he might do, but or Aiden Johnson, wow, there's some new names in here. We did say Joe Moody was too old, but there's still talk about him maybe making it. You're like, wow. In the hookers, I said that Dane Coles would be too old, but hey, he's still around, so didn't quite get that right. Not quite sure what's happened to Ricky Jackson. Any sort of moving on then to the locks, and I'm happy that we got pretty much the 6 locks who are in contention, or the 5 are all there named. So 4 years ago we predicted the locks. James Blackwell hasn't quite come on. Again, in the the loose trios. You've got your Satutus, Sokulas. Tom Robinson hasn't come through as we thought he might do there, but quite a lot of names. It's, to me, if you look at that pack, most of the names we're talking about now, we kind of knew about 4 years ago. That's it's kind of scary.
What is scary is looking at that front row, or those props. That is incredibly scary to look at that. That was only, 4 years ago. Oh, man, that is just a nightmare. We can be thankful that at least Tyrell Lomax has developed into a pretty good prop these days. But, boy, Tui Nafalaki, Laulala, and Tuanga Fasi. Oh, and then Tarval. Oh, no. Goodness me, that is like a disaster of a disaster. If we were going to a World Cup with that now, no, I'll be saying, geez, quarterfinals that at very best, that's a disaster of a front row. But the rest of the pack, yeah, it looks pretty much as expected. It's interesting to see all these guys you talk about, like especially in the up and coming sort of categories. It's like 4 years ago, these guys were like, yeah, by next World Cup, they're going to be the business. But so many of these guys have just either disappeared into the wilderness, gone overseas, or just not developed. And they're kind of just those journeymen now that are going to sit around New Zealand rugby for the next decade and then go to France and pick up some cash. It's crazy, isn't it? They just, like Walker Lerere, I loved him. I think he's a fantastic talent. Hasn't quite developed in the time, which is a real shame. There's a whole pile of names in there. Like, we would have thought Duplessis Karifi had great seasons back then, didn't he? And now, not so much. Shame, real shame.
Ben Nicholas, I mean, where's he gone?
He always got put on the wing because the Highlanders never picked the right substitutes, and they had only one left, and a winger gets injured, and he would always have to go out, in the 23 jumper as the extra back rower. That always happened to him. Bad luck, poor fella. But was he ever really in that picture? I mean, he was a guy that was young, performing, starting at that level, but I don't think he was ever really in an All Black sort of frame.
I know these were up and coming. These are guys that we thought could. Maybe these would be guys that would be for the next lot.
Not even got close.
No, he didn't.
None of those up and coming guys have got close.
Devon Flanders, I think, maybe had one. Moving down then to the next, to the scrum halves, TJ, Aaron Smith, Brad Webber. Well, look, two of those are still in contention, and then Christie and Flower Fakatava as the fringe players. Christie's there. Your Hall, Drummond, Triple T. Hall and both gone overseas. Or actually, one of them's gone overseas. So, obviously your Cam Roy guards come through. The two guys at the Chiefs as well were basically unheard of 4 years ago. Xavier Rowe and the other one.
What, halfbacks?
Yeah, halfbacks. I'm talking about just purely. He's on he's listed here. Causes Ratsma. There we go. So a few young guys that have come through that we didn't see. Into
How many rugby games has he played? Like half a dozen.
He's still been talked about, which is surprising.
It is.
First 5 8, Bowden Barrett, Richard Moanga, Josh Iwani. Wow, Josh hasn't quite come has slipped backwards. Caleb Trask has gone overseas. Perifetta is the next guy, as you'll see later on. Into your centres. I had Geordie Barrett down as a centre 4 years ago. There we go. See?
Oh, mastermind.
Braden Ennell, Quinta Paya, David Habili, Rico Iwani. I mean, all those guys are there or thereabouts. Nankiville, he's in. Emmanuel Jensen, perhaps not come through as well as he could have done. Danny Tuala,
he's Samoan, isn't he?
Yeah, well, just because I'm pretty sure he's born in New Zealand.
Oh, he's capped. I'm sure he's capped for Samoa.
Well,
I'm pretty sure it's Samoa.
Well, he wasn't 4 years ago though. Yeah, capped in 2022 for Samoa. Played 2 games for the New Zealand under-20s.
Okay, well there you go. 4 years ago, that was credible. I take
born
it
in
back.
Hastings.
I knew he played for Samoa. I'm glad I got the right one, because it's always a danger when you pick the wrong one.
So 4 years ago, I thought he had a chance of being an up and comer, because he was part of the crowd, part of the Hawke's Bay crowd who the young boys who came through and performed very well. There's Emmanuel Jensen, perhaps the one there that hasn't come through. Alex Ankerville is there or thereabouts. He's about head overseas. Hasn't quite made it. Back three then. Where's Hewson? Where's he?
He's overseas, isn't he?
Well, yeah, but again, someone I thought had potential All Blacks kind of about him. Joe Nenariki, well, he's in the All Blacks 15 at the moment. Rayasi, he's gone overseas, hasn't he? I think.
Neriki got too injured, too many injuries. It's just kind of stunted his progress, I think.
Yeah, but again, a lot of the names there. I mean, George Bridge hasn't stuck around but he was a 24 4 years ago. He'd be 28 now. You could see him have been around, but DMAC, Sever Reeves, Caleb Clark, Will Jordan, Lester Fainuku, all kind of guys we kind of knew about back then as well. So yeah, so interesting to look at it 4 years on. There with that one. So the aeroplane for this year. Here we are. So what I've done is I've looked through basically all of the names that have been named in the All Blacks and the All Blacks 15s squad. So the squad went up to Japan, plus a couple of others just for the hell of it have been thrown in there. But first up, the last time we had 32 players going to a World Cup. This year we have 33.
Ooh.
Now I've just tacked on the bottom there. Where would you use the extra player? Because you don't need seven back three players.
Jeez. Well, that depends on where you're most injury prone. I guess for the All Blacks, I'd probably use it in another forward. We're off to France. We're a long way away.
I would take another prop personally.
I was thinking of a hooker.
Four?
Just because you've got Cody Taylor and Dane Coles.
No, you only need three hookers. You're definitely not going to take it. You're either going to take an extra prop.
When they're both in a wheelchair.
You're either going to take an extra prop, an extra lock, or an extra back rower.
No, I'd go the versatile back row that can play in the second row, or vice versa, but probably back row to second.
There we go. So we'll add the extra row then to the back row. That is what Stuff have also done. They've also gone for an extra back row. Personally, as I say, I would go for an extra prop there. But so on the plane for me already, Ethan de Groot, Tyrrell Lomax, two guys who started last weekend. They're going to a World Cup barring injury. And then at the airport, the next guys who I think have got a good chance of going, Tamati Williams, Offa Fassi, Lualala, and Fletcher Newell. Clearly, one of those is going to miss out. Who are you? Which one are you looking at there going, oh my God, he better not be?
The middle two. Tamati Williams is on the plane for me. Fletcher Newell can go. That's all good. But I don't really want to see either Offa or Nepo on that plane. Can we pick someone else? We'll go with one of the ones that are waiting at home.
Tamati Williams and Fletcher Newell, they've only got one cap each, right?
Yeah, that's enough.
So I mean, to be saying
that's enough.
They're already on the plane.
They're on my plane. Fletcher Newell, not so much, but if my choice is those four, yeah, I'm definitely going. Tamati Williams, 100%. I mean, he's the man. He's on the plane before anyone for me. He's my future.
Actually, Fletcher's got three caps now. To be fair,
the future is now.
Okay, well, yeah, no, I'll put those two on, but you do.
I'll let you pick the other one.
Well, no. At this point, I'm not saying they all are. I think there are spaces to be won, and I think that fifth prop is up for grabs. The waiting at home list is basically the list that are all on the part of the All Blacks 15 up to Japan. So that's the five who went up to Japan. I don't think Aidan Ross, Carl Tony or Joe Moody will be involved. But I can't believe Stuff actually mentioned Joe Moody as being a potential kind of, if there's an injury, experienced guy. What?
Yeah.
You agree with him?
Yeah, I think he'll be definitely in the mix if he's fit. Definitely.
Wow.
Over the rest of those guys, experienced, capable. I mean, that's what I don't want to. I'd see Tuanga Fasi and Laulalo against Namibia, who we always play at a World Cup. Okay, I can accept that. That's fine, but I don't want to see them against any of the top 6 nations in a playoffs game at a Rugby World Cup. Because our pack would just go to the pack, and that's the thing. It's like, give me some young guy who could at least learn something from this and develop. Because it doesn't go his way, but at least he's going to learn. You've got Tamati Williams there. It's like, okay, he couldn't pull out the biscuits when he needed to. What's Offa going to learn from that? How old is he? He's not going to be around forever. Tamati Williams has got a decade, so he's going to learn from an experience. If it doesn't go his way, okay, I can kind of live with that and accept that. But I don't want to live with Offa sitting there and learning nothing from getting demolished by a French pack at all.
So
yeah,
give me 31, Lualawa's 32. It's their last run.
Get out of here. Go on. Just go to France now, guys. Go to France now and go play for I don't know who. Anyone. Take your pick. Probably D2, because you wouldn't count it at D1.
One of those 2 will be going to every World Cup.
Now, give me Joe.
Okay, but maybe you want to, but I'm saying it's not going to happen. Who
would you pick out of Offa and Nepo?
I'd probably Offa, because you can play both sides.
Okay, that's a good enough reason for me.
At the moment, I mean, the hookers pick themselves. It's Taylor, Samasoni, Takilaho, and Coles. And I think Amu was the next off the rank, but apparently he went home for personal reasons from the All Blacks 15. So I don't know what's going on there. Look, I hope everything's okay with him from that point of view. But and then Riccatelli, Thompson, and Dwyer, who were on the All Blacks 15 tour, I think they can all go on holiday. I don't think they take a couple of injuries before they get called up.
Mm-hmm.
Into the locks then, and look, Barrett, Retallick, Whitelock, they go. And then it's one of Lord or Va'i. And then you've got your Arcoy, Strange, and Walker Laurie were on the tour to Japan, and George Bell as well. Patrick Tuipulotu, who's injured. Yeah, I can't see him making it, to be honest.
That's okay.
That's But yeah, it's those 5, isn't it? Barrett, Retallick, Whitelock, Lord, and Va'i. It's 4 of those 5 at the end of the day.
Yeah. It's at the moment. It's a tough call. It's almost like Josh Lord's kind of got a little step ahead. Has he got a step ahead of Va'i, or is he just experiencing, or they're looking at him to see what he offers? They know what Tupu Va'i offers now. Are we just looking at the options, or is he actually being in the squad currently now playing in these games? Is he above the pecking order? But I'd be happy if either of those to go. I haven't seen enough of Lord at the top level to really give a full yes, he's the man. So if I was to pick now, I'd go Va'i for sure. But either of those 2 would be good. And I think that the next ones waiting in the line are good. Patrick, just focus on recovery and get ready for rugby next year, mate.
Va'i, I think, also could go as your extra back rower, your 6 lock. So you might take all 5 in the end, with one of them as a back, with Va'i as your, Scott Barrett and Va'i as your back rowers options, because Barrett's played 6 as well. Into your back row, clearly, look, I mean, these are the 3 that are going to start the World Cup if it was tomorrow, which is Kane, Sevilla, and Frizzell. Those guys are on the plane. I think that Jacobson and Papulehi personally will go. But I've put them at the airport rather than definitely get on the aeroplane. And Finau is the other one that's in the All Black squad currently. Leo Willie, Kiriwani, Harmond, and Soakula all went up to Japan with the All Blacks 15, as did Karifi as well. But I can't see. To me, I think Karifi can go on holiday. I don't think he's going to break it. I can't see him getting into that number 7 jersey with Kane, Sevilla, and Papulehi all there. You don't need more cover in that department. Let's be honest. Hoskins Satutu, he's on the outer, as is Callum Grace by the looks of things. But the other one who is currently injured but might come back from injury is Ethan Blackadder. There, he's the kind of wild card, maybe. But do you?
If he's fit,
Sorry,
Blackadder. If Blackadder's fit, he's it. I'm not even questioning that at all.
With no game time?
Namibia.
Wow. Namibia.
That's his game time. Namibia and God. Who else have we got?
Uruguay.
Italy, Uruguay. Yeah, Blackadder's got heaps of warm-up games.
There we go. Well, we'll see. Yeah. So you think it's between basically you're either taking a kind of the eye as a back row lock. So basically you're saying, look, Kane, Sevilla, Frizzell, Jacobson, Papali'i, they all go. And then it's either a Finau or a Eye or a Blackadder if he's fit.
Blackadder if he's fit. If I was picking a squad, it would be a Billy Harmon in the squad, but I'm not. So that could be possibly where you take both of those two optional locks. One goes as a lock, one goes a back rower. And you've got a lock that can cover the back row, and you've got a back row that can cover a lock and Frizzell if need be.
Yep. So
it's not perfect. I don't think we're going to see another 20 minutes from Shannon Frizzell this year like we saw last week. Their first 20 minutes, he was incredible. He was the All Black number 6. The other 60 minutes, he wasn't the All Black number 6. He was back to normal Shannon Frizzell. I like the guy. I think he has a potential and ability, but he's not Jerome Kino. Like I get frustrated seeing all this stuff coming in. He's here. The All Black number 6 has arrived. Jerome, Shannon Frizzell's the man. It's like, no, he had a great 20 minutes where he was the man. What did he do from the 20th minute on to the 80th minute? He dropped the ball a few times. He made a couple of good tackles. He got a couple of ruck turnovers. I'll give him that. But, geez, I want there to be another option, but there's just not. Blackadder. We need more. You can be critical of him, but I just don't think there's a good competitive option for him, which is a shame. But he's certainly not the savior. I don't think we'll see another 20 minutes from him until next year sometime.
Well, next year sometime he's in Japan, so you're not going to see 20 minutes of him for 20 minutes of him then.
Then he'll be the All Black number 6. He'll demolish everyone.
Oh dear. We'll see. Into the scrum halves then, and I think Smith and Christie are definitely going. You can tell that whether you like Christie or not. You can see that the All Blacks coaches do. And then obviously Cam Roigard currently is in the running because he's in the squad, but Weber and Folau Fakatava are there in the wings. TJ Perinara, good luck. You can book your holiday now, mate. You don't have to worry about that. To me, I think Brad Weber is the one that could come through, but it looks like they want to take Cam Roigard at the moment. Agreed?
I mean, I'll take Aaron Smith and the two that are waiting at home personally, if I was picking the squad. But I think Christie will go. I mean, Roigard, great Super Rugby level. We need to see him. We need to see him play in black. It's just too much of a different ball game to say, okay, he's played really good Super Rugby level. Let's take him to a World Cup. It's a bit too short. So picking the squad today, geez, I really like Fakatava. I think he's a game breaker and a changer in a prominent position. But if you're going to go for experience, you've already got Aaron Smith. Give me the excitement. Give me Fakatava. Stuff it.
Well, I would be taking Weber, but as I say, Cam Roigard is currently at the airport column because he's in the squad and the other two aren't.
Speaking of Brad Weber, since we're on the topic of Brad Weber, doing a bit of anyone watching who is watching into this, check out his social media accounts because he's doing some awesome charity auctions at the moment. Signed All Black jerseys, referee jerseys for the Cyclone funds. They're on Trade Me. So if you are in New Zealand, go check them out. It's cool. Awesome shirts, amazing shirts, signed referee shirts. Even Angus Carden is on there. So I thought you got to get one of those. So go check it out. If you are into memorabilia, go check out Brad Weber. Just saw that tonight. So definitely worth a look.
Cool. First 5-8, pretty obvious. Richie and D-Mac are going. And Perifetta is the backup there. If you're shouting, no, Bowden's a backup. No, Bowden is the 15. He's in the back 3. He's going. Don't don't worry about that. Kevin's asking, what is the trade me name? I
I'll find
will
it.
have a quick look, and Cornflake will do that while I'm talking. He'll look that up for you. So that's pretty much as it is. Brett Cameron was also in the All Blacks 15, but look, I think he's very much in fourth place there. But look, from a guy who got his one All Black cap in Japan against Japan in the ups to the last Rugby World Cup, I think it was anyway, or whenever it was a while back, went away as sort of left the Crusaders, left Canterbury, went up to the Turbos, went off to Japan, and I think that's his comeback has been good to see on that one. In the live chat, then, so his username is Brad Webber, all one word, unsurprisingly. But I don't know, when I search for that on Trade Me, I don't get anything.
Do you not? I'm looking at his listing right now, and it's literally all BradWBER. There's a cool 2022 All Blacks jersey on there.
So
no way not getting it.
Okay. Oh, well, I'll have another look and see what I can. I'll anyway. So it's said there in the centres. Look, Rico and Geordie Barrett. I also think Antoinette Brown is a shoe-in. Looking at this one shocks me because from stuff they do not have Antoinette Brown as on the plane. They think he's 50-50 as going to the Rugby World Cup. How do you think our centres sit and they reckon that there's only 3 of them, which I think is wrong. There's going to be 4 centres, and they've got Rico, Geordie, and Braden Ennell going, with David Havili 50-50 and Antoinette Brown 50-50. To me, I don't know where they're getting David Havili from, because he's hardly played any rugby, but he's not in any of the squads. So to my mind, I would have. I think Rico, Antoinette Brown, and Geordie will all be going. Your thoughts?
Yeah, Rico and Geordie definitely. They've got their tickets already booked and ready to go. If he's fit, it comes down to fitness. If he's fit, yeah, he's there for me. He's experienced. He knows he's been in the squad how many years now. He'd definitely be a next choice, wouldn't he? But it's fitness. It really comes down to fitness. Same with Havili. I think they'll possibly take Havili over an Ennell if he was fit. I would anyway, just for his experience and his useful versatility that he's got in the squad. Ennell adds a bit of that as well, but I think Havili takes it to a next sort of level. But yeah, for me, I'd have those 3. Current situation right now, if they're all fit, would be Rico, Geordie, Anton, and Havili would be my 4. If they're all 100% fit, ready to go, no one's got any problems. And then, yeah, if one's out, Havili or Anton and Brown are out, Ennell goes in. And if both of them are out, then you'd probably look to someone. I would look to someone like Alex Nankerville as opposed to Mr. High Tackle McLeod.
Not a Jack Goodhue?
Well, yeah, now you're getting 3 guys who've got a good experience. But yeah, fitness. It depends who else was going. For me, if you've lost both Havili and Antonina Brown, you're going to take 2 fairly inexperienced replacements in Nankerville and Ennell alongside them. So you could argue for Goodhue's experience alone and giving them another backup with experience playing the black jersey alongside one of those 2 alongside Ennell. Yes, possibly. But I think Goodhue is the sort of guy that I think he needs a lot of game time to get up and running. We've seen him come back from injuries and take a long time to get up to speed, especially like even at Super Rugby level. He comes out from that injury pretty rusty. So I don't know if he's one I'd want to take straight. He's certainly not an Ethan Blackadder that I'll put straight back in the squad as soon as he was fit and ready to go. He's going to need a bit more than Namibia to get up to speed and running. But yep, yeah, it's been looking good. But we'll see who's available. That's the big question.
I wouldn't have a Havili anywhere near the squad, put bluntly.
Would you not?
To be honest, no, I would have I'd have Goodhue ahead of him every day of the week. So yeah, I would be Rico, ALB, Geordie and Goodhue ahead of or McLeod. But there you go. I say maybe they sent him Goodhue to Japan just for the game time to get 2 games under his belt. I don't know. I hope so.
If he's fit and ready to go and he's had matches and he's 100%, then he's 100% in. But if he's not 100%, then 70-80% Jack Goodhue isn't selling it for me.
Well, there we go. That's but I would have him ahead of Enor and definitely ahead of Havili on that point. Looking at the other ones there, Balin Sullivan to me is good at Super Rugby. It's not the experience at this level, and also not the a bit lightweight. Billy Proctor, I'd go for the size, win him ahead of Bailey Sullivan on that one. Back 3 then. Look, Jordan, Talia, and Bowden Barrett with a 3 at the weekend, and I think that is pretty much the starting 15 that they're looking at. Would I have Mark Talia as my 11? No, I think I'd have Lester Fianuku ahead of him, personally. But I think they do like him in the All Blacks, and he has done some good work in the All Blacks, to be fair. So I do think those 3 are on the aeroplane at the moment. The other 3 spots, the other 3 spots in the squad are Lester Fianuku, Caleb Clark, and Amoni Narwaya. Now, Narwaya had a good debut, but really inexperienced. But then again, you look at the backup, and boy, Sam Gilbert, AJ Lamb, Ruben Love, Tony Nana Sotoro, Jonah Nariki, the guys who are in the All Blacks 15, there's not much experience there at all, is there? Once Sever Reese has gone injured, boy oh boy, suddenly it's looking pretty thin.
You're leaving out the man on holiday. I mean, I can't say anymore. The man on holiday is the man. He's the answer. He is that next guy off the. He's ahead of Gilbert, Lamb. He's ahead of all those. To me, he's ahead of Clark and Narawa. Yeah, maybe not the 3 that are in the squad starting in the last weekend. You probably struggle on that. But what does he have to do? What else can the man do to beat an old drum?
For those of you on the podcast rather than who aren't watching the video, the person on holiday is Sean Stevenson. Now, the reason I put him there is Sean Stevenson to me is a 15, right? He's not a back 3 player who can play wing. He is a 15. He's an out-and-out 15 for my mind. I don't really see him as a winger. Maybe I'm wrong, but what
about Will Jordan?
No, because Will Jordan is a winger as well. He can play much more than Sean Stevenson can. And Will Jordan is someone you just go, I'm having him in the team, and I'll just find a jersey for him to wear because he's your Ben Smith kind of first man on the team sheet for me.
Wing ruined Ben Smith. Ben Smith's not a winger. He's starting another can of worms now.
But to me, he's that kind of guy who's like, he's in my squad, he's in my starting 15. If I've got to put him on the number in a 7 jersey, I don't care. I'm putting him in a jersey because he's scoring me tries. Whereas to me, Sean Stevens not at that level. Look, he's a very, very good fullback if you want a solid on the high ball, counter-attacking and howitzer a boot fullback. Unfortunately, that's not what the All Blacks want. They want a distributor, a second playmaker fullback, and if Bowden Barrett goes down, then D-Max the backup is what I think.
That's what I'm saying. You've got 6 names down there and only 1 fullback.
Yeah, because your other fullback your backup is D-Mac.
And then then you've got 1 fly half.
Or
10.
Well,
you're on shaky ground, man. Your Black History Rugby World Cups does not tell you to take have 1 fly half in your squad. That's bad. So that's why that's more reason if you're going to go with your argument of that he's just out and out 15. That's more reason to be in the squad because that's where Talia's not playing there. Oh, Will Jordan, I guess, could play there if you really want to. But
if you really want to, Will Jordan's possibly the best fullback in the world at the moment. I mean,
but they don't play him there, do they?
I get that, but so to me, you've got cover from Will Jordan for fullback there. And I think they probably bring in a Ruben Love who can do a kind of fullback role ahead of Sean Stevenson. I think that's what they want. That's what they want from their fullback. They want a playmaker, not a counter attacker.
See, it comes down to what you want to see in the team and what they want in the team is two totally different things.
Look, I'm trying to be in their head, not in. Yeah.
If you're in their head, you just shift those three that are at the airport across, and that's it. You're done, and you're away laughing, because that's the three that they like. And although his factors, I wouldn't take Caleb Clark. I think he's at international level been found out for the last year, and he's at every sort of level he's been found out, and he's pretty ineffective. He wouldn't be going anywhere near my plane. And I would take a Stevenson. I would take, just about a Sam Gilbert just for the fun of it, or Ruben Love, anyone really. And then I said, get the twinkle toes out there. Just take another backup midfield. I don't know. He offers nothing to my team apart from a guy that looks big and scary, but when you work out how to tackle him, he's ineffective. He can't really kick a game much. He's pretty average at going backwards, like most big guys are. There we go. Problem solved. Get Stevenson in there.
Yeah, but I agree. I wouldn't take Caleb Clark either. I don't think he's in form. I don't think he has been since probably since before the Olympics, because it was the Olympics that kind of sevens, where he kind of went out. He went tried to do sevens. It didn't work, and he hasn't come back and played any good rugby since then, or very little anyway. So to my mind, see, I wouldn't be taking Caleb Clark. I'd be taking someone else. But you look at that list of who the someone else is, and there is no experience there. They have suddenly found themselves with a whole bunch of untried options.
Yeah, but when do New Zealand back threes really get huge experience? You can normally name like the big wingers that get all the games, and then they're gone by the late 20s anyway, and they go overseas to cash in before they're 30, and they can't run fast anymore. The Doug Howlett's, Joe Kothokos, Sivi Vatu's, who's been a real solid one. Doug Howlett, he come back. Those guys last forever. But is the next name on that list going to be Mark Talia? I highly doubt that. Will Jordan will be. But, a player like Sam Gilbert could come in for 1 season or 2 years and be fantastic and then be gone. We saw that with players like Naholo and Milner Scudder. They came in and didn't last long. Yeah, no, exactly. No. But fantastic players though.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think that there is not much experience there, and I think they've once Everest went, it was kind of like, wow, they've really not tried many players out. As you say,
the wings probably the one position you can get away with the most having inexperienced players though, especially if you've got maybe a little bit on one side or a decent fullback. You can kind of cover them up more. You can a midfielder or a half or any position in the pack that kind of gets found out, especially. But a winger, you can kind of leave them out of the game plan. Just go through your midfield. You don't have to have an experience. You can hide them a lot better than you can any other position.
Sure, but your players like your Raisis and your Wes Houston's, who you thought would be around as your backups, I think they've disappeared quicker than we expected. More so in this position than any other for that point. So there you go. That's where I think their thinking is at the moment. So I don't think there's any. If a name isn't on that spreadsheet and they end up at the Rugby World Cup, I will be amazed. To be honest with you, because once you've picked an All Blacks squad and an All Blacks 15 squad, add in a couple of injured players who are coming back from injury in your Blackadder and potentially Havili or Joe Moody, and then if someone breaks in from here with no Super Rugby available, you're talking about 3 or 4 injuries in one position. So those are the names, folks. If you've got a favourite who isn't on that list or isn't on that spreadsheet, then I'm sorry, but they ain't going. Really. Vunivalu, he's not done very well for Australia, has he? Hasn't kind of worked out for them. A guy who should be fantastic under the high ball in a bit of a kind of Falau-esque kind of player who comes in with a skill set that is, but it just hasn't worked out for him. Their injuries haven't helped his time at the Reds, or neither has perhaps selections either.
Mm.
So we've run over time by a lot. What I just thought I would do is share Brad Webber's listings. So there's an All Blacks 2022 All Blacks jersey donated by Sanasoni Takilaho. That currently is at $600, folks. And then there's also a Rugby World Cup 2019 referees jersey that's been fully signed. That's currently at $205. So if you have the cash, they would look fantastic in a display, just like I've got behind me. So if you want to donate them, even better. But if you want to have them for your bar room or whatever you want to call it, man cave, then get on over to Trade Me and put a bid in, basically.
Or if you want to find your perfect island escape, you can do that in Fiji.
Well, yes, you got the advert there as well. But so those two jerseys there for fundraising for Cyclone Gabrielle. The Perfect Escape to Fiji does not fundraise for that. So thank you, everybody, for joining us in the live chat. Thank you, Steve, for joining me for a chat, and catch you all next Monday when we'll have a look back at those two Rugby World Championship, the Rugby Championship games.